Live slow, live it up, watching time go. Planning moves, staying solid to this cheat code. Get your money, make it big, fuck being broke. Get your money, make it big, fuck being broke. Live slow, live it up, watching time go. Making moves, staying solid to this cheat code. Get your money, make it big, fuck being broke. Get your money, make it big, fuck being broke. This how it is, the mission's Benjamins. And fuck the drama and the bullshit, we ain't little kids. My circle small, but my riders heart, they never quit. Get your money, keep it gangster, solid, straight legit. Never switch like the real ones that die for this. It's fucked up, but this is truly how it is. I hope you're ready if you're picking this like full of sin. No turning back, I represent my Vario to the end. Fuck the fakes and the snakes and everyone that hates. I'm not phased, I won't break, bitch, I'll never.
You are now watching M.O.D. Entertainment.
What up, G-Life? This right here is beautiful California, Killer Cali. And you already know, California definitely be treacherous. You know, it is the home of gangbanging capital, home to hundreds of neighborhoods. And today we're going to be bouncing around from different locations and covering, certain neighborhoods. Now, although, all these gangs and their members, are considered gang members, we're all aware of this. There's certain gangs that have the gangster name attached to their barrio. You know what I mean? That refer to themselves as, gangsters in the title of their neighborhood. And today, that is who we're going to be covering. We're going to be covering all gangster neighborhoods. You know what I mean? So with no further ado, let's get into it. Now, to find the first neighborhood on the list when it comes to gangster neighborhoods, we actually have to travel to the area that is known as Compton, California. To nobody's surprise, you already know it's home to a lot of neighborhoods, very notorious area, very well-known area, due to the fact of, of a lot of, rappers that put Compton on the map, obviously, like with NWA, Easy, and all of that. You know what I mean? But Compton is also home to a lot of Latinos and a lot of Hispanic neighborhoods. One of them being a gangster neighborhood, which is referred to as the Vario CVTG. CVTG translating to Vario, Compton Vario Tiny Gangsters. Compton Vario Tiny Gangsters is a well-known Vario within, Compton. It definitely be cracking. These vatos definitely been putting it on the map, for their neighborhood since the 80s. Late 80s, early 90s when this neighborhood was established. It's roughly one of the more smaller barrios in Compton, but it's a barrio that handles their business nonetheless. You know what I mean? These guys ain't no suckers, These guys definitely get it on and cracking. And their neighborhood is, roughly close to the Kelly Park, Compton Cribs, you know what I'm saying? Because, they have to share territory right there. But it seems like they've been, they have good relationship, you know what I mean? It seems like there's no, no issues, you know what I mean? It seems like they could coexist, with this neighborhood, So, there's no animosity. Like I said, there's certain areas where Hispanic gangs and black gangs tend to feud a lot. And then there's certain areas and certain neighborhoods that could just get along. That's just how it is, you know what I mean? Especially when they're sharing, the same, territory, like by the Kelly Park and all that. But the Compton Vario Tiny Gangsters neighborhood is more towards, Alondra Boulevard. Alondra Boulevard, I would have to say it extends to Long Beach Boulevard to Greenleaf Boulevard, Greenleaf to Panes Avenue. So everything that's in the middle is considered their barrio. You know what I mean? Throughout Kazuko Avenue, I think that's how you pronounce it. Throughout Pailan, Duman, Eva, throughout Elizabeth, throughout all of that is considered their barrio, throughout Brandfield Avenue, it's considered their barrio. It's not a big chunk of territory, but nonetheless, homie, it's still there, you know what I mean? It's still what they hold it down for. And like I said, this barrio may not be one of the largest, but it's a well-known barrio in this area, you know what I mean? Don't ever get it twisted. These guys definitely handle business and been holding it down right there and continue to still represent and put theirs on the map for that Compton Vario Tiny Gangsters, out the city of Compton. Now, to find the next Vario on the list, we actually don't have to travel far at all. You know what I mean? Maintaining ourselves still within the city of Compton. As a matter of fact, almost within the same area is where you're able to find this next gang that's on the list. And for this one, we actually have to head a little bit more up. We have the Vario CVCG, which stands for Compton Vario Chicano Gang, Chicano Gangsters. You know what I mean? I know it's gonna get brought up. That's why I decided to put it on here. You see it up more, Chicano Gang. You know, it's what is known for, Chicano Gang, but they do also use the term Chicano Gangsters. You know, Compton Vario Chicano Gangsters, Compton Vario Chicano Gang. So I knew it was gonna get brought up, so I added them right here on the list. So Chicano, you know, gang, Chicano Gangsters. And their barrio is a barrio that's been right here in Compton also, since 80s. Roughly a little bit more larger than the tiny gangsters, but they themselves are not like super large, other neighborhoods within the area, like the Tortilla Flats or the Florence or neighborhoods like that. They're a little bit more smaller, but nonetheless, barrios that handle business. You know what I mean? Don't ever get it twisted. Right here definitely be cracking because there's so many neighborhoods congested right here. It just be on and popping because they also feud with the tiny gangsters, you know what I mean, and the mobbing for life, the other neighborhood that's right there, and then the black neighborhoods that are right there too, you know what I mean, because they do have beef with some crib sets. So it definitely gets on and popping right here, you know what I mean. But the Chicano gang is a neighborhood that's been right here and been holding it down for theirs, you know what I mean. These guys ain't no suckers. And then now their streets are gonna share a lot of similarity streets to the tiny gangsters, you know what I mean, because like I said, it's all in the same area, you know what I mean, because you can find this barrio, everything that's from Long Beach to Compton Boulevard, their territory still extends all the way to Atlantic Boulevard, and Atlantic Boulevard, I would have to say that their turf still goes down all the way to Murph Street. I think that's how you pronounce that street. So everything that's in the middle is considered the Vario, which is a pretty big chunk of territory, throughout Butler, Laurel Street, throughout Brentfield, throughout Bullies Road, all of that. Throughout all that area is where you can find this Vario, the Compton Chicano gang. And like I said, been doing it right there, and like I said, it gets on and popping because there's just so many barrios right here. You have the Compton Vario 70s, you got the Park Pie Rouge right there, you got all kinds of shit, man. It definitely be cracking on this side, you know what I mean. There's no breathing room between these barrios, so it definitely gets hectic and chaotic. But the Chicano gang, with a few hundred members, are able to do their thing and handle their business and continue to still put theirs on the map. Now, for the next barrio, we actually have to travel to the area of East LA, East Los Angeles, where this neighborhood originally began. Now, this neighborhood is not that old school. It started roughly around the mid-90s when this neighborhood was established. And at first, it did start off as a party crew. From party crew, they transitioned into tag bangers. And from tag bangers, they transitioned into neighborhood, which was the is now referred to as the Vario DPG. Yes, kind of like Snoop Dogg's label and stuff like that. They stood for Dog Pound Gangsters, just like the music group, you know what I mean. And that has always been their original title since the beginning, from where they were party crew to tag bangers and etc. They were just always known as the Dog Pound Gangsters. And right here in East LA is where they originated at, you know what I mean. But they are spread out throughout Los Angeles, LA County, because they don't have like a specific spot where's their turf, because they tend to conduct themselves like how the Tiger crews do, you know what I mean, like just wherever they go they represent, and they got homies throughout the areas, so that's their get down, you know what I mean. But it is a real neighborhood, hate it or love it, it is what it is, bro, you know what I mean, because I know you get people in the comment, nah, it's not fake, bro, it is what it is. You may not like it, but it is what it is. The Vario DPG's been doing their thing since the 90s and continue to still be doing it for theirs, you know what I mean. At least from what I was told, is they're roughly around from 55 to 65 members to this neighborhood, so roughly one of the more smaller neighborhoods, like I said, just because they're not as old school as some of these other, or have a set base. That's the reason for it. But don't ever get it twisted, homie. You know what I'm saying? Because every set's gonna have their riders and their down homies that put it down for theirs, and they're just not gonna let up. You know what I mean? So while other people may think that they could just, say what they want. I mean, you might you know what I mean? You might find the wrong one and it's a wrap. But that's what's up with the Vario DPG holding it down for the Dog Pound Gangsters. Now, as we make our way to the area of the Inland Empire, you already know the Inland Empire's got to have one of these neighborhoods, you know what I mean? But to be exact, we're going to be heading to the area of Riverside. Riverside, home to dozens of neighborhoods, you know what I mean? It definitely cracks in Riverside, homie. Don't ever get it twisted. But to be specific, we're going to be heading to the south side of Riverside to find this next neighborhood. Because over here, there's different Varios, but they represent, like a certain side. Like there's Southside Riverside gangs, so they all represent Southside Riverside, but they're all individual. They're their own individual gangs, you know what I mean? So it's not the same gang. They're their own individual gang, but they represent the Southside of Riverside. So for this one, on the south side of Riverside, you have the Vario MGF. So that's Southside Riverside MGF. And MGF standing for My Gangster Family. My Gangster Family used to be a crew that became a Vario, you know what I mean? They were roughly a large tag banging crew that handled business, homie. These battles were not to be played with. They definitely did their thing. And their territory is pretty massive, bro. You can find them from Adams Street all the way to Arlington, and from Arlington their territory extends to Jefferson all the way to Magnolia, and Magnolia, their territory still stretches to where Monroe Street is at. So everything that's in the middle is their Vario, which is a gigantic amount of territory. But more specific, their main territory, the heart of their hood, their dojo, their domain is on what you see as GST. GST translating to Garfield Street, that slices through their Vario. So that would be like Garfield and like Adams, and all of that, Garfield, and then you can find them throughout California Avenue as well. You can find them, just throughout the whole entire area, but Garfield is pretty much their domain, their dojo, the heart of the hood. That's where it definitely goes on and cracking. That's where you can find them at, where it be on and popping. And My Gangster Family, like, let me tell you, homie, they're roughly more than 60 members to this Vario, and these guys did their thing, you know what I mean? They definitely put it on the map for theirs. And this is the Vario to the Chicano rapper Moro. This is the neighborhood in which he belongs to. But yeah, that's what's up with My Gangster Family, definitely representing for theirs and putting theirs on the map. Now, to find the next Vario, for this one, we actually have to travel to the south side of Los Angeles, to South Central, where we're able to find this next neighborhood. But this neighborhood is spread out in different locations. Not only in South Central are you able to find this Vario, but you're actually able to find, this Vario in Northern California as well. So they have upstate homies, and they have homies just spread out, throughout LA County as well. There's another neighborhood that used to be a crew that became a Vario, which is a Vario OGS. OGS translating to original gangster surenos. I know that sometimes, you see it up as just originals, but, the title of theirs is Original Gangster Sureños. Also, how they write it, it's like typical for these, when these crews make their letters stand for a bunch of different stuff. But it's one of the, next to originals, it's probably the next one that's mostly used. So it's originals, or original gangster sureños, or original gangsters, you know what I mean? The OGS. And like I said, they're roughly not a big hood because they haven't been around that long, you know what I mean? Late 90s, early 2000s when the neighborhood was established, and I was at least told, counting other men, just down here and the ones in Northern California, that they're only roughly about 45 to 50 members, max, to this barrio. So one of the more smaller neighborhoods, because obviously they're not as old school as some of these other neighborhoods around the area, you know what I mean, or with an exact, turf, so it just makes it a little bit more difficult. But don't get it twisted, homie, they have writers and they have individuals that hold it down for their sets, you know what I mean? These guys ain't no punks, just because, they used to be crews, or they're not as old school as some of these other neighborhoods. It don't mean nothing, homie, because these guys are going to have vatos that are going to want to put it on the map for theirs and want to prove themselves, and are going to go out there and do real things in order to accomplish that, you know what I mean? So you can never underestimate nobody, because they will handle business. But that's what's up with the OGS, the Original Gangster Sureños. And for this next barrio, we actually have to make our way to Northern California. You already know Northern Cali, home to, you know, the norteños, and also to upstate sureños. You know, you do have upstate homeboys over here. It definitely cracks over here in Northern California. But to be specific, we're going to be heading to the area that is known as San Jose. Not just to the area of San Jose, but to be more specific, to the east side of San Jose. East side of San Jose is where we're able to find the next gangster Vario up on the lista, which is a Vario VTG. VTG translating to Vario Tammy League Gangsters, homie. The Vario Tammy League Gangsters is a well-respected, well-known barrio within the San Jose area, because in San Jose you have a lot of upstate sureños. You have the Compton guys, you have the Colonia, you know, Barrio Colonia 13, you have the Virginia's 13. You have a lot of barrios in a lot of you know, upstate sureños within San Jose. You have like up to like 10 upstate, you know, gangs. But one of the more recognizable and well-known one is, you know, the Vario Tammy Lee Gangsters, which is located right there near the everything that's from Tammy Lee Drive, obviously, and McLaughlin, by the McLaughlin Park. It definitely gets on and cracking right there, you know, and it seems like all upstate homies seem to get along. They're united, so you know, they do have allies, you know, within other neighborhoods, and they are clicked up with the VCTs, you know, the Colonia 13. So they're clicked up with them, you know, because they're both located in the same area, and obviously because the norteños are a lot more larger and more united, you know, than them, because obviously, you know, they're behind enemy lines. So it definitely gets on and cracking, because right here, that's who they feud with. So it definitely gets on and popping. But like I said, Vario Tammy Lee Gangsters, one of these upstate sureño neighborhoods that was doing their thing, man. Been doing their thing, has made headlines, has got it on and cracking, homie. You know what I mean? They can't take nothing from these individuals. You may not like it, but those are the facts. Facts are the facts. You know what I'm saying? They definitely been putting it on the map and continue to still be representing, you know, off that McLaughlin and, you know, the VTG. This is also the neighborhood in which the homie Playboy 1300, you know, that he puts it down for. Go check out Playboy's channel and his music right here on YouTube, Playboy 1300. Always releasing, you know, fire tracks. That's the homie right there. But yeah, shout out to all the homies out there in Tammy Lee holding it down for that Tammy Lee Gangsters. Now, as we maintain ourselves right here in Northern California, you already know Northern Cali, you know, full of a lot of upstate homies. So obviously you're gonna have more than one of these gangster neighborhoods. Now, to find the next one on the list, we actually have to head down to the area that is known as Madera. The area of Madera, you know, small little place, but, you know, definitely gets on and cracking. Don't ever get it twisted. It gets on and vicious. You know what I'm saying? And this area is where we're able to find the Vario VCG, or just CG. Now that translating to Vario Central or Central Gangsters. You know what I mean? Central Gangsters, so not to be confused with Chicano gang. Central Gangsters is, you know, a pretty well-known, you know, upstate, you know, sureño neighborhood right here in this area for the homeboys, because you do have several, you know, other barrios within this area that are upstaters, but this is, you know, roughly, you know, well-known set, a little bit more of the smaller side, at least from what I was told, as you know, because this neighborhood is roughly only like about 30 members to it. So, you know, one of these more smaller neighborhoods, but these individuals do their thing, you know what I mean? You hear about them. They actually made, you know, the news, you know, one or two times. I was reading, you know, so, you know, they've been doing real things, homie, you know what I mean? They've been making moves. You know, these guys are definitely no chumps. You know, and they've been holding it down roughly in this area since the, you know, late 90s, early 2000s, when this neighborhood was established, and continue to still be established and hold it down for theirs, you know what I mean? Because they still have homies right there that hold it down for theirs and still be representing for their barrio, despite what individuals are going to want to say. Like I said, I never come and wolf it or to invent or make up or none of that. It is what it is. Hate it or love it. Can't change the facts. You know, this is a real barrio, and they be holding it down right there for the barrio Central Gangsters. Now, to find the next neighborhood, we actually have to slide on through to the 805. You already know the 805 definitely be cracking. Home to a gang of neighborhoods, home to the chiques, home to all kinds of this madre, but also home to one of these gangster neighborhoods. And the neighborhood, in order to find the neighborhood, we actually have to make our way down to the area that is known as Ventura. But not just to Ventura, but the west side of Ventura, to be exact. Yes, Ventura has neighborhoods, you know what I mean, on the west side, where it definitely be cracking. As a matter of fact, this is one of 805's largest and most notorious neighborhoods, next to the Colonia Chiques, you know what I mean? This is another neighborhood that's made headlines, that's give law enforcement hard times. They hit these guys with sweeps and all kinds of shit. These guys are deep, you know what I mean? With several hundred members. I was told more than 300 heads to this barrio. You know what I mean? And for it being the 805, my boy, that's, well, you know what I mean? That's, pretty deep. For homies that said like around roughly like 500-600. So it's like, damn, serio? So we're talking about a, big dominant gang that often gets confused with another neighborhood, but it's the Vario VAG, Ventura Avenue Gangsters. Not to be confused with the Avenues gang, because they do write it Avenue, you know what I mean? Because of the Avenue, but that V is for Ventura, not for Vario Avenues, like I was seeing people try to say that it was. Nah, two different gangs, had nothing to do with each other. And this is an old Vario right here in the 805, my boy. This Vario's been around since the 50s, homie. Since the 50s, this Vario has been doing their thing. So they already have, long time in these areas. And their territory is massive, you know what I mean? Everything on the west of Ventura, you know what I mean? Everything that's from Stanley Avenue to Shoeshone Street, all the way to Cedar Street. Everything that slices through where the Kellogg's Park is at. So everything, in those back streets, everything throughout Ventura Avenue, basically. You know what I mean? It ain't no joke, homie. You know what I mean? It definitely be on a cracking. So, like from the Kellogg's Park all the way to the Harry A. Lane Park. So from that end to that end, which is a massive amount of territory that we're talking about. That's why these individuals, are so large. They have a massive amount of territory. And like I said, they're one of 805's, neighborhood that definitely you hear about and be giving law enforcement a hard time. And they be going at it with the Chique gangs too. So it gets on and cracking, homie. It gets chaotic, bro, right here in these areas. It ain't all lovely like people think it is. Ventura does crack, and this is one of the 805 most dominant neighborhood right here, representing for that Ventura Avenue Gangsters.
Thank you for watching M.O.D Entertainment. Make sure you like and subscribe.